When I was a child, my father told me a story that still haunts me. It wasn't just any tale. It was about how my grandfather died. At the time, I thought it was just one of those stories meant to scare me, but as I grew older, I realized it was a warning. We lived on a small dairy farm in Ohio, struggling to make ends meet. To help out, my father and I would hunt coyotes at night, earning $50 a pelt. One evening, after a successful hunt, we took a shortcut through the woods to get home. The woods were unnervingly quiet. No animals, no wind, just silence. I remember feeling uneasy, but I didn't say anything. We kept walking, and that's when we stumbled onto a scene so disturbing I'll never forget it. Blood. Everywhere. It was smeared across the trees, the grass, and even the rocks. In the middle of the clearing lay 3 deer, their bodies torn apart with horrifying force. Their limbs were scattered like discarded toys. "This isn't right," my dad muttered, his grip tightening around his shotgun. At first, we thought it might be coyotes or wild dogs, but the sheer brutality of it didn't make sense. Predators kill for food, not for sport. Whatever had done this wasn't natural. My dad looked at me, his face hard with worry. "Go home, boy." I shook my head. The idea of walking 2 miles alone through the dark woods was far more terrifying than whatever had caused the bloodshed. After a long moment, my dad nodded. Though I could see the fear in his eyes, we decided to track it. The blood trail led us deeper into the forest, the air growing colder with every step. The trees seemed to close in around us, the silence almost suffocating. Finally, the trail ended at an old, abandoned schoolhouse. It was perched on a hill, half its roof torn away, the walls covered in vines. It looked like a forgotten relic from a time long past. "That's where it went," my dad whispered. As we approached, an unearthly noise shattered the silence, a high-pitched screech followed by a deep growl. It was unlike anything I'd ever heard. Inside the schoolhouse, crouched over a carcass, was the creature. Its skin was pale and stretched tight over a skeletal frame, glowing faintly in the moonlight. It had the shape of a man, but its limbs were too long, its movements too jerky and unnatural. It was a thing out of nightmares. My dad cleared his throat, trying to draw its attention. The creature froze. Slowly, it turned its head, and for the first time I saw its face. Its eyes were black voids, empty and soulless. Its mouth stretched into a grotesque grin, revealing jagged teeth. Then it screamed. The sound was deafening, a horrible, unnatural noise that seemed to rip through the very air. The creature lunged at my father, its claws outstretched. My dad fired his shotgun, the blast echoing through the woods, but the creature didn't flinch. It tore into my dad with terrifying force. I raised my rifle and fired. The creature barely acknowledged the shots, its eyes still locked onto mine. "Run!" my dad shouted, his voice strained with pain. I didn't hesitate. I turned and ran, dragging my father behind me as fast as I could. The creature's screeches echoed in the distance, growing fainter as we made our way to the edge of the woods. We made it out, but not without scars, both physical and mental. My father survived, but the fear never left him. We never spoke of that night again, but sometimes, late at night, I swear I can see something pale and skeletal lurking just beyond the trees, waiting, and I know it's still there.